The winds of autumn attacked the Mideastern United States throughout the first truly miserable weekend of the NFL season. Cleveland, Ohio was drenched with rain, much of it falling on the floor of Municipal Stadium. The world champion Pittsburgh Steelers were Cleveland's guest on this day, coming off a two-game losing streak. If head coach Chuck Noll appeared to be unaffected, he should have been. He would be without the services of 5 All-Pro performers. Replacing Terry Bradshaw at quarterback was Cliff Stout in his first starting assignment. The absence of John Stallworth and Lynn Swann was not so serious, since Theo Bell and number 86 Jim Smith are nearly as talented. For Cleveland coach Sam Ratigliano, it was a rare opportunity to secure a piece of the AFC Central Division lead. And the return of Greg Pruitt to the Brown backfield was a positive sign that this was to be a turnaround day for Cleveland. The Cardiac Kids of 1979 regained their comeback magic the week before when quarterback Brian Sipe combined with wide receiver Dave Logan to beat the Packers on their last play of the game. As long as the Steelers play in the East, their fans will be close by. Some 20,000 arrived to help end the Pittsburgh slide. For the first time in 3 years, the Steelers' lock on first place in the AFC Central is seriously threatened. Both teams are 4-3, and while the Browns have not beaten the Steelers since 1976, the moment was at hand. Pittsburgh's depth would be severely tested as they take on the Cleveland Browns in the NFL Game of the Week. In a sustained rainfall, it became clear that the first half would belong to the team that could hold on to the ball and avoid the early turnover that often sets the tone for the game. Brian Sipe and the Browns began cautiously testing their footing with several short passes, this one to fullback Mike Pruitt, number 43. The ground game was somewhat less effective as Steeler linebacker Jack Ham, number 59, halted Greg Pruitt's first effort. A veteran of every conceivable weather condition, Calvin Hill, number 35, took a Brian Sipe pass to secure the Browns' initial first down. With 3rd down and 8 at the Steeler 28, Sipe looked for wide receiver Keith Wright, number 89. Instead, it was Wright's deflection to the Steelers' number 29, Ron Johnson, that denied the Browns the game's first score. Johnson's interception and 19-yard return provided much of the spark for Pittsburgh's 75-yard scoring drive. For a first-time starter, Steeler quarterback Cliff Stout was surprisingly bold, opening up his offense with a 15-yarder to Theo Bell, number 83. Conspicuously absent from the Pittsburgh backfield was Franco Harris. Picking up the slack was number 38, Sidney Thornton, for 6 yards to the Cleveland 10. The Cleveland secondary then committed their first mistake of the game when Oliver Davis, number 21, interfered with Steeler receiver Calvin Sweeney in the end zone. The penalty gave Pittsburgh 1st and goal, and Greg Hawthorne responded with the game's first touchdown. But the score was not all Hawthorne's doing. A second look reveals that the key block came from Rocky Bleier, number 20, on the Browns' R.L. Jackson, number 56. The Pittsburgh scoring drive lasted for over 10 minutes. Against the rested Steeler defense, the Browns generated virtually nothing. Another short pass to Mike Pruitt was negated by a Cleveland penalty, and the dampened Browns were forced to punt from their own 42, while an opportunistic Steeler front four looked for their next big break. A bad snap and a slippery ball avoided punter Johnny Evans, and the Browns were buried under a wet steel curtain for a 10-yard loss. For the second time in the first half, the Steeler defense came up with a key takeaway, putting Pittsburgh in prime position to extend their lead. With 4th down and 7 at the Browns' 29-yard line, Pittsburgh elected to forego the field goal due to excessive winds and gamble for the first down. Despite being interfered with, Jim Smith, number 86, held on to the football and the first down at the Cleveland 15. But it was all the Brown defense would allow, and the Steelers settled for a 27-yard Matt Barr field goal and a 10-point lead. Throughout the first period, the Cleveland offense was sluggish and ineffective, but nothing seems to motivate Brian Sipe more than a 10-point deficit. The NFL's premier comeback quarterback went to work on the Browns' next possession, connecting with number 33, Reggie Rucker. "13 yards later, Sipe looked into the same zone, this time finding number 34, Greg Pruitt. By sending his wide receivers long and to the outside, Sipe spread the Steelers' secondary thin and opened up receiving room for another running back, first-round draft choice Charles White, number 25. Sipe completed 7 consecutive passes to 7 different receivers. Receiver number 4 in a desperate fashion was Ozzie Newsome, number 82. With Steeler All-Pro linebacker Jack Lambert out for the game, the middle was a particularly attractive area for Brown receivers. Dave Logan, number 85, got the Browns 6 yards closer to the Pittsburgh goal line. From the Steeler 5, the Cleveland drive ended in the hands of Calvin Hill, number 35. Another look at the touchdown shows how well Cleveland guard R.E. Jackson was able to contain the Steelers' All-Pro tackle Mean Joe Green, number 75. With plenty of time and room to throw, Sipe threaded the Steeler needle between 2 converging defenders. Throughout the first half, neither team could sustain any kind of running game. The Steelers totaled 61 yards to the Browns' 29. Regardless, Pittsburgh managed to string together a 17-play drive. The key plays, 2 passes and an impromptu run. Jim Smith's 11-yard catch at the sideline got the ball into Cleveland territory. And with all Steeler receivers covered, Cliff Stout set out on Pittsburgh's longest running play of the half, 12 yards. For his efforts, Stout was rewarded with a sideline mud bath. Stout then rewarded Calvin Sweeney, number 85, with a 28-yard pass over the middle to set up the final score of the period. A second Matt Barr field goal, this time from 22 yards, gave the Steelers a 6-point lead at intermission. Despite a fumble, an interception, and 2 crucial pass interference calls, Sam Rutigliano's Browns remain within easy striking distance of the world champions. It would remain for the Browns to take the offensive, force the turnovers, and capitalize. Head coach Sam Rutigliano is such a likable man. He always has a kind word for the press. He is loved by his team and by the city of Cleveland. Why then must this patient parent be subjected to the frustrating moments his cardiac kids seem to always provide? The usually sure-handed Mike Pruitt fumbled on the second play of the second half, and the injury-riddled world champions were in business once more. Steeler backup Cliff Stout hit reserve receiver Theo Bell as Pittsburgh again continued its version of murder by depth. Boasting a bevy of brilliant bench warmers, the Steelers' second stringers continued to shine. This time, rookie Calvin Sweeney grabbed the spotlight. Sweeney's artistic catch and carry is yet another graphic example of Pittsburgh's quality reserves. Yet another youthful non-starter, Greg Hawthorne, pressed into duty because of an injury to Franco Harris, climaxed the drive. Hawthorne's score and Matt Farr's subsequent point after extended the Steeler lead to 20-7. Another look reveals that Hawthorne's second effort proved too much for 3 Brown defenders who failed to deny him 6 points. Trailing by 13 early in the third quarter, Brian Sipe, nicknamed the Cardiac Kid for his dramatic final-minute victories of last year and last week, called on Mike Pruitt to help mount a comeback. Pittsburgh's Jack Lambertless defense is suspect now in stopping the run. As well, without Jack Splat in there, they miss his deep drop on pass coverage. Sipe capitalized on the all-pro middle linebacker's absence. On a critical 4th and 2 from the 7, the Steelers, however, would have made Mr. Lambert proud. Mike Pruitt failed to achieve the first down by a foot, and the mighty Steelers, -5 of their superstar starters, were providing the 80,000 Cleveland fans with a lesson in character. But Brian Sipe is a character as well, especially when his team is behind and the pressure is on. Reggie Rucker's catch had Cleveland knocking on the door. But when receiver Dave Logan sought to gain end zone entry, Mel Blount and Dirk Winston promptly slammed the door in his face. Opportunity only knocks once is not one of Brian Sipe's favorite adages. Persistence pays off is more up Brian's alley. Greg Pruitt's touchdown catch cut the Steeler lead to 6. A repeat of the score shows that number 51, linebacker Lauren Tays, was completely taken in by Sipe's cunning pump fake and could not recover as Pruitt made the catch against the defensive flow. Greg Pruitt's troublesome knees rendered him ineffective last season. Indeed, he is back, and he would be heard from again later in this contest. In a few seconds, however, the largest crowd to see a game this season would be silenced by the resourceful Men of Steel. Theo Bell's lightning 71-yard gain ignited the team of the decade, and on the ensuing play, Sidney Thornton made it look easy. The Browns had scraped and clawed to get back in the game, but before the Cleveland crowd could rearrange their blankets and pour a cup of hot chocolate, Pittsburgh had answered defiantly. Matt Barr, who has never missed a field goal inside the 30 as a Steeler, somehow managed to shank the point after. Perhaps the thousands murmured it would prove a harbinger of good fortune. Down by 12 with over a quarter remaining, they would soon find out. Brian Sipe is not fast. Brian Sipe does not possess the arm of a Terry Bradshaw or a Burt Jones. But what he lacks in size and strength, he makes up with poise and desire. Brian Sipe hates to lose. Number 85, Dave Logan, is not a speedster. Dave Logan is not a John Jefferson or a John Stallworth. He is, however, a winner and a clutch target. And before his day was done, he would lead all pass catchers with 8 for 131 yards. Since Sipe replaced Mike Phipps as Cleveland's starter in 1976, he has made the big plays. And ever since number 82, Ozzie Newsome, graduated from Alabama, he has made catches like this. Newsome's acrobatics gave Cleveland a 1st and goal, but both he and Sipe were shaken up on the play. Enter rookie quarterback Paul McDonald to run one play. It proved to be one play he'd never forget. Steve Furness was the alert Steeler who pounced on the fumble, and while the Cleveland defense halted the visitors, Sipe readied himself for the final quarter. It would be a thrilling final 15 minutes, a segment of time that would ultimately decide who would sit atop the AFC Central, football's toughest division, at the season's halfway point. Sipe and Mike Pruitt went to work. Pruitt would finish with 82 yards, while 5 different Steeler backs would combine for merely 87. On 4th and goal, Sipe sought out the other Pruitt. Greg Pruitt's second touchdown catch of this all-important intra-divisional battle made it 26-20 Pittsburgh. The tone of the game was changing. The crowd knew it. The Steelers knew it. Brian Sipe knew it. With time becoming a factor, the dynamic duo Brian Sipe and Dave Logan clicked once more for a key 20-yard pickup. Sipe was on fire, and his 28 completions would establish a club record. His 27th was indeed the most dramatic. Ozzie Newsome's catch with 5.5 minutes remaining tied it at 26. And if Don Cockcroft could nail the point after, Cleveland would have the lead for the first time in the game. Of course, Don Cockcroft misses extra points about as often as Halley's Comet appears. Fortunately for the Cleveland folks, Mr. Halley's astronomical wonder isn't due for another 80 years or so. Even so, the Pittsburgh Steelers have enough stars to fill a galaxy despite their injury situation. And Cliff Stout found one open over the middle with plenty of time left. Rocky Bleier helped the Steelers move out to their own 46, a couple of completions shy of field goal range. Cliff Stout anxiously tried to move his team closer for Matt Barr to make amends for his critical missed extra point earlier. Ron Bolton's first interception of the year with 2 minutes remaining stopped the Steelers in their tracks. The Browns were playing like superheroes while the once invincible world champions were looking more human with each passing Sunday. Indeed, Stout picked an inopportune time for his only mistake of the game. Still, with 16 seconds remaining, Stout had a chance to pull a rabbit out of his hat. What he did, however, was offer up a lame duck as he was pressured by the Brown defense. Bolton had apparently cruised in with his second interception of the game, but the officials ruled that Stout had been sacked by Lyle Alzado prior to releasing the ball. It didn't matter, however, for Sam Rutigliano's Browns had handed Pittsburgh its third consecutive loss and had secured for themselves a share of the division lead. Rutigliano had never beaten the Steelers before, and perhaps the next time these two teams meet, it will be for the division title.